Hello, I am Barbara Carr with Barbara Talks Business, and I am here today with Nicole Morin. And we have a fun episode for you. If you are in business, whether you are just starting out or you've been in business for 20 or 30 years, this topic is going to help you because across all the times I've been doing business for over a decade, the issue that I hear people struggling with the most is follow up. And we're going to talk a lot about follow up today. And the reason that I have Nicole as my guest for this topic is because she is phenomenal at follow up. So you will want to hear what she has to say about how follow up can make your business even better. So let's get on with some of the basic stuff first. This is season 2, episode 16 of Barbara Talks Business. We are live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. and we ask that you join us and you participate in the chat. And our viewers can ask questions of the guest live on the chat. So again, I said I'm with Nicole Morin today, and she represents a company that I know that without a doubt you've heard of this company, and it is Mary Kay Cosmetics. It's been around for a very long time. In fact, I love Mary Kay. I am wearing some Mary Kay products on my face as we do this. In fact, every time I do my podcast, I throw on my Mary Kay CC cream because it makes me look fantastic. Thank you, Nicole, for providing such great products.
Sure.
And I do want to give a quick shameless plug because Nicole and I are in the same BNI group, and Nicole is a rock star in the group. I am not quite at her level yet, but she does so many great things in that group, including being on the leadership team, and she's just amazing for our group. And I appreciate, Nicole, everything that you do in that group, the education pieces you give us. It's always so helpful. So thank you for that as well. And if anybody's watching and you don't know what BNI is, or you do and you want more information, reach out to either one of us, Nicole or I. We can give you an invite, a personal invite to check out our chapter meetings we have about 50 other business owners that really want to help you grow your business. So if you're interested, contact either one of us. All right, let's get on with the fun stuff. Today's topic is 5 steps to cultivate extraordinary relationships with your client. Who wants that? Me, right? So if you want to have great relationships with your clients, this will be a great topic for you. I preach a lot on how relationships should be the primary focus of your business, not the money, not the goals, right? Like money and goals are important, but the relationships are what's going to help bring more people in and keep people for longer. So I love that Nicole also has this strong belief in relationships. Let me give you a little bit of information about who Nicole is and the company she represents so that you know why she's awesome to listen to. And Nicole helps you to love your skin, and recently she's been helping people to eliminate maskne. We are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic and you've had to wear a mask everywhere. You may be one of those people that have experienced skin problems underneath that mask that you aren't so fond of. Nicole has been helping a lot of people fix that issue. So if that's you, that's a great reason to reach out to Nicole. All right, so Nicole is a Mary Kay consultant. She has been married to her husband, Andy, for almost 24 years. Congratulations. They have 3 children. And Nicole started her Mary Kay business 7 years ago as a plan B, just in case she ever injured herself lifting a patient when she was working as a PT on a rehab unit. Midwesterners tend to be a bit fluffy. Over the years, she has grown her business and loves that she gets to offer golden rule customer service, always making sure that her clients love their products and know about the exciting new releases while being careful to not be the scary K lady who feels more like a stalker. We all know one of them. We may have been one of those at one point in our life. Hopefully, if you are now, that you're going to learn from this. She does this by working to form a loyal relationship with her clients so that they will trust her recommendations and never feel that they are being sold. Her mission is to help her clients to love the face that looks back at them every day in the mirror and know that they are special. Mary Kay is a skincare and glamour company that has roughly 57-year legacy in the beauty world. Nicole is able to sit down with her customers, either in person or virtually these days, and share products with them to meet their skin type, areas of concern, and teach them about how to care for their skin or to apply their makeup. We believe, or Mary Kay believes in trying before you buy, so that you will have been through the process once before you have to do it alone. And then they have a 100% buyback guarantee that makes shopping worry free. But the best part of running her business is the relationships that she gets to make. She's not in the business for the one-time sale. She wants to help develop trust with her clients so that they know that she wants to provide them with excellent service, and that her recommendations are based on what their needs truly are and not what her sales goals are. She wants every client to feel that they are beautiful and love the skin that they're in. So, Nicole, thank you for being you, and welcome to the show.
Beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Well, you are beautiful inside and out. So I am so grateful that you are here. Let's walk people through the system that you follow to have such great relationships with your customers, because I feel like anybody who knows Nicole loves Nicole, right? Like, and in fact, in one of our B&I meetings a couple of weeks ago, everybody just kept complimenting Nicole, how beautiful she is and stuff. And it was just like, it was like compliment Nicole day, and it was not planned. But it's because Nicole is so loved because of these relationships that she builds. So really pay attention to what she shares here. All right, Nicole. So establishing relationships with your clients. Walk us through what that looks like.
Sure. Well, the goal of this conversation is to help to build a customized strategy to create a client experience that will increase customer satisfaction, sales, and profits. So I did a little research. And really, this is an integral skill that all of us as business owners and entrepreneurs need. We always have to find that new client to keep our business afloat, and it's hard work, it's frustrating, and statistically it's less profitable than developing a loyal customer base. One of the sources that I read said that there's a 5% increase, or it's a 5% increase in retention of clients yields profit increases of 25 to 100% on average. Yeah, and that repeat customers tend to spend 67% more than a new customer will. And then another source stated that businesses that have 60 to 70% chance of selling to an existing customer versus only 5 to 20% chance of getting a new prospect to buy. And so as I read those numbers, they kind of resonated with some of the experience that I've had with client relationships. So with that in mind, I think this can give us a lot of hope as business owners, because once we have established our systems, we can keep working to drive that steady stream of new clients in, but the success and longevity of our business is really built on who we already have here. And so whether you're new to the business or you've got an established business, you know, in some ways it's easier if you're new because you don't have to undo bad habits that maybe you've established. And it's easier to start building a system from the beginning rather than trying to redo it. But, you know, even if you've got an established business, I would encourage you, if you don't feel like you have a good system, don't get overwhelmed by trying to start something new. What I would say is, you know, don't freeze up, start with your new customers, add them into your system, and then gradually implement any changes, you know, on a schedule. You know, just schedule that time into your calendar and be consistent with moving them over into your new follow-up system. That makes sense. So, and really, I felt like I needed to go beyond my own experience with some research. So a lot of the different 5-step success customer relationship things that I found had a lot to do with the 5 key ways to you approach and apply each of the 5 steps. So this has kind of 2 parts to it. The system, if you will, that is the checklist of how to cultivate those relationships with consistent follow-up and attention, and then sort of the enhancements that you add on to bring each of these steps even further. So basically there's the 5 steps. We're going to start with the one called the lookout.
Ooh.
I know, sounds very intriguing. But so basically, this is being ready to meet your next client all the time, because many of us are the face of our business. And so when we're out and about, we need to be prepared and on watch for who our next client might be. Even if you're a shopkeeper somewhere, that applies. Consider if you're a bridal shop owner and you're out to lunch with a girlfriend and you overhear at the next table, so a girl who's newly engaged is, now looking for wedding dresses. And so if you happen to be kind of professionally dressed and you've got your business card, you have an opportunity to steer this person towards your shop.
Right.
And you may already have amazing ads in your local paper, you may have a great website, but what's going to put you over the top is that personal touch and the interest you can share in the bride's-to-be's needs by this face-to-face business attachment now you've made. And it's going to increase the likelihood that the bride can stop into your shop. If you're even more prepared, you can have your schedule with you and let her know that you do private showings to provide individual attention, access to the gowns, and can you schedule her? Because now you have met her need to get into a shop. She didn't have to do any work to get it done, and you have her information so that you can reach out to her, which is key.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so the keys were, one, you were dressed professionally. Now, I am not saying that I am dressed 100% all the time when I go out, but at least I'm dressed to be seen at least Target, and I'm not a Walmart disaster. Because this is going to be the first impression you leave. So I'm just, if I'm supposed to be at the gym, I look appropriate for the gym or the daycare pickup, whatever it is. But, remember, this is going to be your first impression with somebody. So think about how you might want to be perceived by them. Second thing was you had a business card. You're ready to hand it out and you were bold enough to do it. And that's a hard one for me. I tend to be kind of shy when I approach people I don't know. But then the shop owner started off with, I couldn't help but overhear. You've got this icebreaker, this way that you can kind of introduce yourself. And it can be anything. It can be from, I know this might sound crazy, to I couldn't help but notice something, and then compliment that person. Our shopkeeper then went into her elevator speech. And we should all have our elevator speech because repeating words you've said 100 times makes it a lot harder to be awkward. And so then all you have to do is muster up 20 seconds of courage to go up to somebody and remind yourself you've got nothing to lose if they say no. It wasn't business you had to begin with. So if they say no, you're no worse off than you were before.
Right. And you likely will never see them again anyway. So what's the harm in being shut down?
Exactly. Right. You don't care. And then third, she tried to get the potential client's information so she could schedule a follow-up with her. Because let's face it, most people have really good intentions of calling you back, but life distracts them. So if you want to see them again, you need to be able to reach out to them and understand that it can take up to 6 tries of contacting them to get a hold of them. So
in today's world, Nicole, I'm pretty sure it's probably even higher than that now that we're so inundated with everywhere we look, there's somebody trying to get our attention, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So at least 6 times often it takes for people. And it's not that they are like, oh my gosh, it's that person. Sometimes it's just, oh yeah, I need to call them back. But I know I check my phone like after business hours or when I'm going to bed. So not times when I can call back. So it takes those couple of times to get on there.
Yep.
So next step is the layering. And so this is the second step in cultivating your relationships with your potential new client after you've scheduled to meet with them. And you want to layer them with contact taps so they don't forget about that appointment that you have with them. You may consider these contact taps to build excitement about the appointment. And again, I believe that most people are well-intentioned, but there are a lot of distractions out there that are going to move us and our business out of our clients' minds.
Yep.
You've probably experienced this layering. I know every doctor and dentist's office I go to with my family sends me texts or emails. Even my hairdresser does it. And, a lot of them will even offer that little click at the bottom where you can automatically schedule it onto your Outlook calendar. And they even send multiple reminders. And generally, if I have set that appointment up more than a week in advance, I'm pretty thankful for that reminder because I have probably forgotten it. And especially if I didn't write it down at the time, I'm really out of luck. So we need to do the same. Develop a pre-appointment set of scripts that you're gonna send out via whatever medium works in your business. There are text and email services where you can pre-schedule scripted text to go out. If you have an Android phone, you can actually pre-schedule text and do it while you're watching TV late at night and get them all ready to go the next day. You can schedule emails to go out with your personal email, or you can mark your calendar, pick up the phone, and actually make a call. Whatever type of medium you use is going to depend on you and your client's preferences. And I suggest that at least one of those contacts be made by phone, because this gives your potential client the opportunity to hear your voice and start to connect with you. You can use that.
Nicole, one of the things that I teach also is that everybody has their preferred method of communication. So if all you're doing is texting people, but they don't like to text or they don't know how to text, believe it or not, there still are some people that fall in that category, then you're wasting your touches with them because it's not really reaching them the way that you would like it to. So if you try these different methods like Nicole's recommending, you'll soon find what everybody prefers. I could list a whole lot of people who I know prefer phone calls, others who prefer text, others who prefer me to message them on Facebook. You learn what people prefer the more that you practice this.
Exactly. And then, things like your tone and your voice inflection, they don't come across in print, and things can be easily misinterpreted just from reading the text. So you can use that phone call to find out some information about them before your scheduled appointment, so that they feel more like they're not just a number to you, that you have a vested interest in them. And you're even going to be able to start setting some expectations during those phone calls, because the more you control their expectations, the better off that you're going to be, and it's also going to help put their mind at ease.
For sure. And Nicole, I always recommend to people, like I have people who will tell me, well, I don't want to make phone calls because, what if they ask something that I don't know what to say, or what if they talk too long and I didn't schedule that much time, or they have all these reasons why they don't want to make a phone call. And so I've recommended to people that there are services out there that if you're shy about making a phone call for whatever reason, start with leaving a voicemail first. There are services out there that will allow you to go straight in a person's voicemail. That way you let them know, hey, I'm calling you because XYZ. If you're interested, or if you'd like to talk more, or if you still would like to do this that you told me you would, give me a call back at this number. And then if they call you back, then they're interested, right? And that doesn't mean you can't keep following up with them with a text or an email or other things. But if you're nervous about having that phone call, which some people are, especially the younger generations, start with just a voicemail and go from there.
Exactly. All right, well, that leads us into step 3, which is the appointment, which you would think in a 5-step program should be the end, but it's not. It's in the middle. So now the big day's here. You've got the client in front of you. And again, I like to set the stage for what's going to happen at our appointment. I'm going to reinforce the expectations that I previously outlined with all my pre-appointment layering, because I want to be in control, at least to some degree, of what's going on. And this is going to vary based on what each one of us does. So I'm also a physical therapist. And so when I was a PT on the rehab unit, I would explain to my patients what their evaluation was going to look like before doing it, so that they knew what to expect in our session. I could relieve some of their anxiety, and I could help them to know what I was going to do. So I'd say something like, hey, my name's Nicole. We've got an hour and a half to spend together here. We're going to start with all the boring stuff to make sure that it's right in the computer. I'm going to check your strength, your flexibility, and we're going to move around a little bit. If you have any pain or problems during this, or questions come up, just stop me and ask me. That way they kind of knew what we were going to do. They weren't freaking out as much. And they also then, I got to run the show, which was very important for keeping things on track. And then from here, you just go and do what you're good at. You're going to take your pictures. You're going to do your product demo. You're going to go over the service you provide in the price list, whatever's appropriate for your service. And then finally, you're going to close that appointment. And we all have a close, right? This is the part where we ask for the money, where we want them to sign the contract, or we were going to schedule their follow-up appointments. And don't feel bad about your close. I mean, if you sell a product or do a service, your customer's kind of expecting you're going to tell them how to buy it. Yeah. And I love the company that I represent as for my personal business. I'm proud of them, and I will stand behind them. And for me, a one-time sale is nice. I'm not going to lie. I like to sell things like everybody else, but I always tell my customers that my goal is not to sell them everything I carry. Everything's not for everybody. I want to build their trust and their relationship that will keep them coming back to me in the future and referring their friends to me. And so you shouldn't feel bad about asking for the money if you believe in what you're doing. And then if you are in a sales position, I'd encourage you also to learn how to not to fill the dead air with your voice. Silence can be a very uncomfortable thing, but the better we get at mastering this, the better our businesses will do. So you're going to tell them about your product or services you're offering. You're going to end your close with an open-ended statement, and then you're going to shut up. So in my case, I go with, what would you like to go home with today?
That's the hardest part, isn't it?
It is. It really is, because, we want to keep talking and we feel like we're going to help them more, and they don't need that, So this is important if you're looking for them to make it a decision on that day, especially. We want to give them the opportunity to think through the options that we presented with them. Because as humans, we like to give our opinion, we like to be taught and not sold, and we don't like to feel pushed. So many clients during those quiet moments are really just like they're mentally moving the money around to decide what product or service they want. And you talking too much is going to reduce your sales. You want to wait for them to say something before you jump in, answer any questions honestly and with integrity. And before you end the appointment, make sure you set up either your next appointment, if that's applicable, or let them know that you're going to follow up with them again, because this is where those relationships are born. And by setting the expectations that you're going to follow up, they're going to be more likely to respond, and it's going to begin to form that relationship that lets them know you're not a fly-by-night individual who's just taking their money and disappearing from the face of the earth. So that leads us to the follow-up, which is step 4. And this is probably the most important of all the steps in the process, because this is where you're going to set yourself apart from the competition. So
I would add that this is probably the most step in the process as well.
Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time getting them through our doors. And then, this is the part that, sometimes feels like, and the extra, because you don't always see the results of the follow-up immediately. Sometimes this is something that takes some time. So I always tell my clients, I'm not the lady behind the Clinique counter that's not going to call you and check on how you liked your purchase and make sure that you're loving it. It's an important building block in developing that client relationship. It's going to help show the client that you're invested in them. They're not just the number that they picked off of, at the deli and, now serving number 57. Like, you're not just number 57. Like, to me, you're supporting my family, so I want them to understand that. And then how you're going to do this is going to depend on your businesses. All businesses should consider some kind of a thank you. Whether you handwrite a card, you use a service like send out cards, send an email or text, or make a call, it's important because it stands out in people's minds. Mm-hmm. And in this day and age of technology, a tangible thank you like a card stands out even more.
It does.
And this follow-up is also an opportunity to see if they had any questions that came up after you left, because I know, we get so much information thrown at us that we're almost a little overwhelmed by the time we've finished having an appointment with somebody for, whatever it is they're selling. And then we're like, oh, I should have asked, whatever.
Yeah.
So, this gives you that opportunity to capture that. So it's going to let you know if there was a problem, if they were dissatisfied with something, so that you can correct it quickly. And a person who has a problem with something that you went over is not a bad thing. Because it's our opportunity to shine and to set ourselves apart from our competition. And the person is going to remember what you did to correct an error or to improve their satisfaction, and is going to be a lot more likely to return to you when they see the effort that you're willing to put into that relationship.
Yep.
And again, we talked about, there's email and there's texting services that can do those things for you. There's phone services that you can pre-schedule things to go out. Use your Androids, all the things we went over. You can use a service like MailChimp that develops automatic emails and has kind of a system already in place. This is also best practice if you're sending out business emails to group to use something like MailChimp, because then they have that opt-out option, whereas if you're sending emails out of your personal account, they can't opt out of you, which people like to be able to do. We get a lot of emails. Because you never want to be a service provider that's perceived as being a stalker. You want they have that integrity. And the best way to do this kind of follow-up is to have a system that you don't have to think about. It involves a checklist that you simply check for each client to make sure you've had a touch with them. So perhaps the day after you send them a thank you card, text, or email. 2 days after, you follow up with a phone call to see if they had any questions that came up since your appointment that you scheduled in your calendar for that appointment. If you're a product-based business, maybe 2 weeks later you reach out and see if they're satisfied with their purchase and if there's anything that they need to change or add on, or have a follow-up appointment that you can schedule at their original appointment so that you're reminding them of at that time. And then step 5 is called the romance. And much like a personal relationship, we have to keep romancing our clients. So we want to stay visible and in the front of their minds. And again, there's a lot of shiny distractions out there vying for our customers' attention, and we want to build loyal customers. And it goes beyond someone just being a satisfied customer who's happy with the service or product they received from you. A loyal customer will not go to see anyone else but you to meet their needs. And so this is where the easiest and largest amount of our business should be coming from. Each business can do this differently. Perhaps your fashion boutique does a monthly blog to show the current trend or cute outfits or accessories. Maybe you send a newsletter out to your counseling clients about new services you're providing or situations that are common in different seasons. You might consider having a customer loyalty rewards program. So like when I go on vacation, there's this coffee shop that we go to, and they've got a punch card, and so every 10th coffee is free. So we only go to that shop when we're on vacation, and even though I probably walk past at least one on my way to get there. And then, like birthday clubs are great. I send out a birthday card for my send-out cards that has my business information on the back and a gift certificate that my clients can use during their birthday month, just to keep me in front of them. This visibility also advertises me to anyone else who happens to see that card. If you're on social media friends, you can watch as they mention life events and respond with a card or a special occasion or for losses that they may be experiencing so that they know that you are a human being who's thinking of them. Maybe you offer referral bonuses and provide monetary value to a client who refers a friend. Perhaps the friend will get a discount too. But the value of that's going to depend on what makes sense to your bottom line and your business, and also whether or not that amount is something that's going to excite your client. So if they spend thousands of dollars with you and your offer is a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card, it's probably not going to motivate them to refer a friend to you. But if they get a $50 Visa gift card, that may make them work a little harder to remember you when their friend mentions they're looking for a service. And it is the romance that's going to help to strengthen our relationships with our customers and keep them coming back to us and spending their money with us, which is obviously where we want it.
Right, of course. And Michelle or Nicole, I love these the 5 steps here. You broke it down super simple. And as you were going through all 5 steps, I noticed that in my business, like right now, the podcast is the main thing that we're focused on because I'm at home homeschooling kids and going to Bible college. And so I'm not doing business as much as normal. My team is still doing a lot of the business, but to keep my face in front of people, I'm doing the podcast every week. And I was looking at it as you followed through this, and I said, this even works if you're not trying to sell something per se, right? Like for the podcast, the lookout step, right? Step number 1. I'm always on the lookout for, and so is my team, who would be a good guest on the podcast. If I meet someone in a networking event or I see somebody post something that's really valuable on social media or anything like that, my immediate thing is, hey, would you be interested in being on my podcast? Here's the application, right? And so the lookout is there. The layering, Nicole, you probably in coming up to before we did this particular show, you received calls from my assistant, emails, reminders, just like what you mentioned. I use a service for once my assistant books you in my system, it's automated to where, the week before you get a reminder, the day before, the hour before,
Right.
And it's all the info you need, including the link to get on and all that good stuff. And then the appointment. Well, obviously the appointment is what we're doing now. And then moving on to the follow-up, our system is very similar to a lot of the things you mentioned. We have in our booking system, it will send you an automated email. Thank you for this call, right? And then we send out a send out cards, which we love. People love those. And then we also send you an email with the video and the audio and all of that. And then the romance, you do get put into our system to have regular touches, right? Like every quarter. Hey, Nicole, just wondering how you're doing. Thinking about you, whatever it is at that time, you're in our system to constantly send encouragement to, not to try to sell you anything, because that's not the purpose of Barber Talks business. Obviously, we sell things in the business, but not this particular thing. We're not in it. The purpose isn't to sell things, it's to build relationships. And so I love, as you shared that, I was able to relate it to something that even wasn't for the purpose of money. And so how cool is that you could use this both for obviously building relationships for sales, or building relationships for other purposes. So thank you for breaking those down in easy to digest steps.
Yeah, you're welcome. And now I mentioned enhancements. So basically the enhancements to doing this would be, the first is to network. Your second is to communicate. Third is to exceed their expectations. Fourth is to ask for feedback. And fifth is to show appreciation. So I'll run through those real quick. So networking is that first enhancement practice. And so, whether, Barbara had mentioned BNI is a great networking opportunity. Your local chamber of commerce, there are a ton of networking organizations out there. It could be through your church, through other clients that you have. We're going to use all of those networks, because included in our network sphere are business colleagues, professional acquaintances, prospective and existing clients, partners, suppliers, contractors, family and friends, people from school, church, and the community. Go to events, rub elbows with people, but it's important to learn how to network effectively. You don't want to go in and just hand out 50 business cards at a chamber meeting and think that you're done. Because everyone's there trying to sell, and that's not going to get you to the front of somebody's mind, just having given them a business card. So instead, you want to have a conversation with someone. It's not about more, it's about, it's the quality of those interactions. And so, learn about them and their business. What do they need to make their business thrive? Do they have a problem that you can solve? And if you can, you will stand out if you can solve somebody's problems. It's more like, there's a farming analogy that explains networking. And so if you network well and you cultivate those relationships, it's like a farmer that cultivates their soil. And so by working to deepen those relationships, you're tending the soil of your networking partners, and adding the water and sunlight is kind of what helps to make that relationship grow. And you want to be visible to your prospective networking partner by doing a follow or follow-up or email the day after you meet them, so that you're going to stay on the top of their mind as well. And then that's going to develop some accountability with them.
Yeah, and Nicole, one of the things I always try to do, and I always try to teach other people, is that like your first 24 hours after you meet someone is the most crucial. So the sooner you could follow up, the better, right? Sometime within that first 24 hours. Once it gets past that 24 or even 48-hour mark, they likely forgot who you are already. They've already met 10 other people. So you've got to be quick on your follow-up. Don't stack up your business cards and try to do it all at the end of the month, because that's not going to be as effective as doing it the very next day, or even the very next hour. What I got in the habit of doing is, if I have a networking meeting from 11 to 1, for instance, I schedule 1 to 2 as follow-up time. So I use immediately I'm sending messages to people that I just met, and it's very quick, and it's like, hey, they're impressed. A lot of those messages are pretty templated, but still able to add in personal things, right? So it might, like, the template might be something like, hey, it was great to meet you at XYZ networking event earlier today. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you. If you'd like to connect with me on social, here are my links or whatever. But then if it was somebody that we had a conversation and it was great, I might add another couple sentences that said, thank you for sharing with me about, ABC or whatever, and I'd really like more information. Could we set up an appointment? Right? And so just being able to follow up as soon as possible, you're right about that, is that it is so key. because otherwise it falls through the cracks. Like you mentioned earlier, life happens, right? You have the best of intentions, but life happens and you don't get to it.
Right. And it allows you to follow through on any promises or connections that you thought of for them. And then two, you remember who they are. Because, I mean, if I met somebody a month ago, all of the things that I remembered about them, I mean, that's gone. So, and leveraging a good network is going to save you on your marketing money in the future. You know, there are people, if you have a really strong network, you don't have to do a lot of powerful marketing, because that word of mouth about you is going to be a big driver. And so if all of your business came to you by word of mouth, how much would that save you in advertising? I mean, look at your advertising budget. How much? And this is accomplished by bringing value to the relationships in ways where you can help them. And then they're going to want to help you in return. So it just kind of comes about that way. Communication is the second enhancement practice. And so communication is the key to any relationship, and it's essential in building those relationships with our customers. It's used in every step of the cultivating our customer relationships. One of my resources said that relationships have a short shelf life. It does not matter how great you were the one time you met. Over time, that memory is going to fade. Communication is the basis for the customer experience, and it was estimated in 2018 that by 2020, last year, the customer experience will become the main thing that separates your brand from all the others and even overtake the price and the product. Communication refers to both the frequency of the contacts you make with your clients as well as how you do it. And it helps if you can reach out to customers regularly using their preferred mode of communication, but having multiple forms of communication at your fingertips as well, which we'd kind of already discussed. And then just a side note for me about like written communication. If you're going to use written communication, try and edit it for spelling and grammar. There are people that really annoys when you get things that are not right. If possible, have another set of eyes, proof you wrote. That's where it's handy having, like your virtual assistant or somebody like that, because we tend to overlook the typos because our brains will just read it how we intended it. Yep. And not how it is actually written on the page. So if it's supposed to be a business professional and you're presenting yourself as such, you want to make sure you look good. If you're trying to save money by making your own flyers, do it well. Otherwise, pay a service to do it for you. You don't want to look like a cheap flyer that someone would staple up on a phone pole. You want to stand out. And depending upon your business, if what you send out looks cheap, it sends the message that you're not profitable. And if you're not profitable, maybe you're not as good as they thought you were. So right. You don't want to sow those seeds of doubt by looking cheap. I mean, and there's a lot of templates and, things that we can do on our own to save money, but you want to make sure you look the level of what you're trying to sell.
Right.
And remember that communication is not just the words you say. Only about 7% of our communication is actually the words that are said. So this leaves a lot of gray area for us to either make or break ourselves. And it's conveyed in, how you look. Do you care enough about the meeting to show up looking professional? If I have an appointment over and I choose to wear old jeans and a t-shirt and have no makeup on and my hair's not done, it doesn't really convey that I'm a beauty expert. What do you say? Do you say things at an appropriate educational level for the audience you're speaking to, and use appropriate jargon and professional technology for the group you're in front of? So consider your audience, and how you speak to them. How you say it, be aware of your tone. Some people need to practice talking with others a little bit more because they're just not aware of how they come off. So, be aware of your tone, and then your body language is huge, Posture yourself for presenting versus selling. Be aware of your face. If you're supposed to be excited, make sure your face knows. Make eye contact with people. Convey subliminal feelings by your own body language. So if you want someone to be agreeing with you, you maybe want to be nodding your head a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. So do your hands feel soft and smooth right now? You're putting it in there for that, like, use your body language effectively. And don't be looking at your phone during a meeting unless you've explained to them that you have an emergency that you might need to tend to. That's probably the biggest annoyance is like, so I'm spending my valuable time with you and you can't even be bothered to, be here with me. So, be sure, watch how you're doing that. And then how we say and what we say is just as important. It's not, if not more important than the words themselves. So you basically want to convey your sincerity, your honesty, and your integrity. Exceeding their expectations is that third enhancement practice. So have you ever noticed that at a good restaurant, they're going to tell you that your wait time is going to be 30 minutes, but they're probably seating you in 20?
Right.
They exceeded your expectations at the 30 minutes. And so then by seating you early, they have managed you better. Now they have met your expectations or exceeded them. By being in control, we have the power to exceed our promises and do what our competition can or will not do. The follow-up and romancing are the steps to do just this. Do the unexpected by sending cards or dropping a client a small gift of something that they mentioned to you in passing that they love. All the ideas in the romancing steps are kind of designed to do this.
And Nicole, I'll add to the audience too that I think it's really cool when I order product from you and I get it in my mailbox. There's always something extra and there's something special that you always add a little something extra in it. It's probably not very costly or anything, but just the thought of you adding something else in there is really neat.
Excellent. Yep. By design, my friend.
Practice what she preaches.
That's great. I do my best anyway. Asking for feedback is that fourth enhancement practice. And you can do this across many of the cultivation steps. It's going to give your customer a chance to be more involved in what's going on and can make them feel special or bring them into the team. It conveys that you value their opinion. Asking for the opinion can also help you to grow yourself and your business, as an outside perspective may show you something that you had not considered offering, or maybe there's something that you're doing that's confusing to your clients.
Yeah.
One of the sources had stated that customers prefer making their purchases with brands and businesses that take the time to acknowledge their followers and which respond to their feedback. And so this may happen more immediately, like asking at the appointment if their expectations for the appointment had been met. For others, it may come after the service was provided. So, I work at a hospital also, and so I know we hire an outside firm to get feedback from our patients, but you can also direct your clients to provide you with a Yelp or a Google review, or you can actually give them a physical survey that they can complete. But really that feedback, it gives them that piece where they feel like they're valued to you because their opinion matters to you.
Yep.
But again, it gives you that opportunity to grow yourself a little bit more too, because especially if you're getting negative feedback, which again, never makes us feel good, but that negative feedback is an opportunity for growth because it really helps to highlight, what is it that you maybe need to tweak? And sometimes it's just changing a couple of little things and all of a sudden it's really awesome. And then the fifth and final one is to show appreciation. And you can do this across all the steps of cultivating the relationships by always thanking them for their time, being sure to be attentive to them during that in-person meeting, and responding quickly to them, any text or emails that they send for communicating. You can show appreciation to your customers in one of the ways we talked about, from being a satisfied customer to a loyal one. Appreciation is attached to a positive emotion. And emotions are very strong drivers in developing a relationship and leaving someone with positive vibes that's going to improve their memory of you. This is built into the romancing step with the many above and beyond tips that I shared about going beyond adding them to just your email list or sharing the new opportunities of services you've added. Some of the businesses even have VIP events for their best customers. And they can do customer appreciation events to show how much they mean to the success of their individual business. How big and how expensive is up to you and what your business can sustain. A networking partner had mentioned that she provides a free instructional class to one of the attendees who wanted to pay for her expertise. I believe actually that was you, after a conversation we had. when she had refused payment, he asked her for her Amazon wish list and sent her an item of appreciation from that. So I know you felt very appreciated, and I think you've also implemented this into your practice. So anyhow, that's kind of the end of my enhancements there. But
Perfect. So, Nicole, I like to do a couple of fun things after we go through the education part. I like to lighten it up a bit. And so what we'll do next is I have a segment called Brag Time. This is Barbara's random acknowledgement of greatness, where I randomly choose somebody to brag about. And so for this one, I'm going to brag about Rick and Holly 𝗕𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗧, who are the founders of Kingdom at Work. And the reason I want to thank them is for being a light to the world. So this particular call is pre-recorded. It's our first pre-recorded call. Thank you, Nicole, for being accommodating so that I could play this while I'm out of town. And so when you guys watch this, I will be at their Kingdom at Work conference in Texas, and I will be learning so much from them. And what they focus on is putting God at the center of your business and letting God be the CEO of your business. And so the name of the conference is Kingdom at Work, and I just thank them for all their light. So that's who I want to brag about today. I encourage you to look it up, kingdomatwork.com, learn more about them, and see how you can learn from them, especially if you are a believer as well. All right, so next thing we do, Nicole, is a this or that type of question. So I will give you two words and you just go where you will with it, okay?
okay.
All right, the first question, and even though this is pre-recorded, if you're watching this while it's on, you can answer in the chat what your answer is as well. Participate with us. So Nicole, the first question, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What kind of coffee?
Oh gosh. My favorite is when I get to go to a little specialty shop and try out whatever their fancy flavors. And they always, if you go to a cutesy little shop, they've got, their fun named things. Michigan, they've got a lot of things with, cherry and, Wolverine, things like that. So I love a fancy little coffee shop that's got their own unique flavors of things.
Oh, I love that. All right. So how about handshakes or hugs?
Honestly, hugs. I'm more of a hugger than a handshaker. I don't know. I always felt handshakes were sort of awkward, but I love hugs.
Okay. How about in person or virtual?
I tend towards both. I just think it depends I'm all about people's comfort. I want people comfortable, and so if someone is happy being in person, I'm good with in person. And if people like virtual, I am spreading my virtual wings, because that was a skill I needed to learn, and I'm really thankful that I've been learning it.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, and Nicole, you gave so much valuable information today. I want to make sure that people are able to reach you if they're interested. I know that you offer a free virtual or in-person skin consultation and the trial of products that are customized to a person's skin type and concerns. So if you guys enjoyed what Nicole had to share today, reach out to her. She's about to give her contact information. Connect with her on social media. Get to know her. She's a wonderful person to know, even if you don't want to buy Mary Kay products. Even if you already have a Mary Kay rep, you don't have to switch reps or anything. You can still have a relationship with Nicole, because like I said, she's just amazing. Nobody who knows her doesn't like her. So Nicole, go ahead and give us your contact information.
All right. So probably the easiest thing is either my cell phone, which would be 815-793-2893. Or you could email me at nicolesmarykdreamers@gmail.com. And then I do have, I think I gave you my link for I've got a private customer page that if you wanted to get, that's my website there, which is another great way, because you can see our catalogs and check out stuff there. And that actually will, if you send me a message through there, I'll get that as well.
Perfecto. So if you are somebody who you don't really like the touches and you're one of those people who would probably ignore Nicole anyway because you just don't want to communicate, you can just buy product right on her website.
That's true. You never have to talk to me if you don't want to. You can just order in your pajamas like I do Amazon. It's totally fine.
As do I. But if you are somebody who really wants to ask questions about your skincare and your makeup, and you want to have a relationship with the person that you're buying these products from, and you're interested in education and growth and stuff like that, reach out to Nicole because she's happy to share these things with you and to grow with you as you guys grow together. Nicole, I know that as you gave us the steps today about creating great relationships, cultivating and enhancing them, I know you shared with me that the practical next move action step would be for people to start developing their follow-up plan. And you gave us some great examples during this call. Creating checklists, creating the workflow of, how often will you follow up with someone, in which ways will you follow up with them. So if you need help while you're developing your follow-up plan, I know Nicole can give quite a lot of information, and so you can reach out to her. And if it's for some reason something a little more complex, you could reach out to me because I do consulting with businesses as well. But Nicole, I appreciate everything you've shared with us because follow up, I know, is difficult for people. Not
Yep.
because they don't want to do it, but it's an extra step that sometimes is overlooked, but it is important. And I know that you also shared that for anybody who's watching this, for Fuse fans, Nicole's willing to give a $25 gift certificate for use on any skincare set to use after your free consultation to those who book by May 1st. So again, this is going to be aired on April 26th or 27th, I think, that
Okay.
week. So you have till the end of the week really to use this. So contact Nicole right away. If you see this after that date, like maybe you don't even find this until June, still reach out to Nicole.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure she'll give you something special.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So Nicole, before we go, is there anything that maybe we didn't talk about that you think would be important for people to know?
I think the biggest thing that stands in our way is we feel like we need to be somebody else when we're doing things. And I think we just really need to embrace who we are. Really, if you love what you do and you believe in, the products or the services that you provide, I don't let the monkeys in our heads hold us back. I think a lot of it is fear that holds us back and stops us from reaching out, and we're like, oh well, I'm gonna bother them. You're not. You're selling you for whatever it is that you're doing, and when you are your genuine self, people can see that. They don't feel like they're getting that salesperson vibe. Like, just be authentically who you are, and you are naturally going to bring people to you, and they're going to want to stay with you.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Nicole. All right, you guys, reach out to Nicole. Remember that Barber Talks Business is on every Tuesday at 2 p.m. You can find us live on our YouTube channel, which is Fuse Empire. The link is right there. And so we hope to see you again live next week so that you can participate as we go. Have a great week. Bye-bye.